the rule of dawn. And before the election, 2 years up until the week before Election Day, I had conversations with Democrats, some Republicans, and they said Donald Trump they thought was a threat to democracy. Donald Trump won. He'll be in the White House in 2 weeks. The report says that you don't believe that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, but why is he number 2 on the list? Why is rule of dawn there?
Well, first, let's talk about the ordering of the list. There are 3 different components that we measure to determine what order we're going to put a risk. Number 1 is the likelihood the risk occurs. Number 2 is the imminence of the risk. How soon is it? And number 3 is the overall impact globally. And I mean, the United States, anything that happens in the US is clearly going to be overrated because of the extraordinary impact it has on everybody else in the world. So, you have to look at it that way when we think about why is it number 2. Now, rule of dawn, where, as you mentioned, we're not saying that the United States is suddenly going to become a dictatorship. I don't think that's true. It's not going to be a civil war. U.S. is not going to become Turkey or Hungary. There are a lot of institutions in the U.S. that will resist that kind of effort by Trump if even he wanted to try to accomplish it. I mean, an independent judiciary, a professional military, a federal system with governors that run a lot of things, including elections, by the way, in the United States. So, it's very hard. You're not going to suddenly lose your democracy. But if there are not checks and balances on Trump's executive authority in what he wants to use his presidency for, then you could easily imagine a new McCarthyism, where he weaponizes the power ministries, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the IRS, and he uses them to go after his enemies, much as he believes his enemies have gone after him with 2 impeachments and all of these indictments and trying to throw him in jail. His view is, well, that is never going to happen again. So now that I'm president, I'm going to make sure that I've got my guys in place to go after what I call the deep state. And that will have a chilling impact. I mean, even if those people aren't going to be sent to jail, even investigating people will make a whole bunch of other people say, I don't want to get investigated, so I'm going to be careful. I mean, why did Mark Zuckerberg and Meta just completely 180-degree flip, their policy on social media, no more content, sort of censorship and constraints, instead community notes, and prioritize free speech? And Mark Zuckerberg wrote and said, well, we think this is the right thing to do. And he didn't mention that he's doing it because of Trump and Elon, right? Which is, of course, the only reason he's doing it. And that's what everyone is going to do. So we're seeing that already. I mean, it's just the first week since we put this report out. We already see one of the most important companies in the United States completely changing their business model on the back of the rule of dawn. That's why they're doing it. And that's going to have huge implications around the world.
How much do you think we're going to see of that? Because you said it was a very different time in 2017. He was appointing rank and file members. Now he's appointing people who fervently agree with his position. After he won in 2016, though, he spent the entire campaign season saying lock her up about Hillary. He didn't investigate her. Do you think he's going to go hard this time around on investigations of people who weren't for him in the past 4 years, past 8 years?
I don't know. But I do think Kash Patel is more likely than not to be confirmed as FBI director. I don't think he's remotely appropriate to be in that position. He is someone that has said on numerous occasions that he has an enemies list. And in fact, we've seen it. And it's several pages long of people that he thinks that need to be investigated. It includes a lot of political enemies of Trump. If you're Trump, and let's not even talk about the impeachment and the indictments, let's talk about the fact that he was almost killed, right? I mean, there were people on the Democratic side that were calling Trump as bad as Hitler. They were saying he was a fascist, and Trump has said as bad things about Kamala Harris. But again, we're focused. Trump is the guy that's president, coming into his presidency now. So what matters is how he feels. And he was concerned that this was going to lead to acts of violence against him. He demanded more Secret Service protection. He didn't get it. And then we were this close to Trump getting killed. this close. So, I mean, if you're a 78-year-old man with the narcissism of Trump, who's gone through all of this, it is hard for me to believe that that is not going to affect his governing as president. I mean, I think that he wants to see some level of quote unquote justice done. Does that mean that he personally is going to make sure that Liz Cheney spends time in a jail cell? No, I don't think that. But I think that he will be perfectly happy to allow an FBI director and others around him to open investigations against people that Trump believes richly deserve it.
To your point, I mean, as you said, we were this
Much
close
of a
to
chilling
having.
effect, I don't know.
We were this close to having a completely different conversation right now, this close to a completely different American history.
That's right.
I do